Plan Commission meeting for November 13th. Roll call, please, Bethany.
Commissioner Harlow is absent. Commissioner Curry?
Here.
Commissioner Krillenberger?
Here.
Commissioner Jablonski?
Here.
Commissioner Cernovich?
Here.
Commissioner Willoughby?
Here.
Commissioner Fiasconi is absent. Commissioner Moore?
Here.
Chairman Cashman?
Here. Next order of business, public comment for any non-agenda items. There seems to be one group. Any non-agenda items back there? No? Okay. All right. All right. Our next order of business, approval of minutes from our October 8th, 2025 meeting. Do the commissioners have any requested additions or revisions?
I have one quick question, Bethany. On page 2, on the case A40, the second one on the list here, it says the applicant approved late to the meeting. I don't know if that's a typo.
Yes, that was a typo.
All right.
It should say the applicant arrived late to the meeting.
Thank you.
We'll make that correction.
Yep.
Okay, thanks, Scott. Anything else, commissioners? Hearing none, could I have a motion to approve the minutes with that change?
So moved, Willoughby.
Do we have a second?
Second, Jablonski.
Roll call vote, please, Bethany?
Commissioner Curry?
Abstain.
Commissioner Krillenberger?
Aye.
Commissioner Jablonski?
Aye.
Commissioner Cernovich?
Aye.
Commissioner Willoughby?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Chairman Cashman?
Aye. Next, we have, we need to schedule 2 public hearings for Wednesday, December 10th. The first is case A-9-2025, design review permit and sign permit review for 710 North York Road, installation of 1 multi-tenant ground sign. Do I have a motion to schedule that meeting for December 10th?
Krillenberger, so motions.
Second, Cernovich?
Can we group these together?
Let's do separate.
Okay.
We can do them
Roll
together,
call
but
vote?
we already had the motion, so.
Okay, next is case A-53-2025 for 777 North York Road, Unit 23. Special use permit to allow for a physical fitness facility and health spa for Sage Wellness Sanctuary in the B1 Community Business District. Do I have a motion to approve both of those for the Wednesday, December 10th meeting?
Krillenberger, so motions again?
Do we have a second? Again?
Cernovich, second.
A roll call vote, please, Bethany?
Commissioner Curry?
Aye.
Commissioner Krillenberger?
Aye.
Commissioner Jablonski?
Aye.
Commissioner Cernovich?
Aye.
Commissioner Willoughby?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Chairman Cashman?
Aye. Okay, next we have sign permit reviews. We have 3 tonight. The first is case A-44-2025 for 10 Grant Square, Hinsdale Flower Shop, installation of 2 wall signs. Welcome.
How you doing, folks?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Just want to give us an overview and then see if
Yeah.
you have any questions.
So Hinsdale Flower Shop is moving from their main location to 10 Grand Square. We're looking to introduce a standard sign package for them with the addition of 1 sign on the side of the building. I did see that we were requesting for the modification there. I believe you folks should also have that information as well.
Correct, 5% increase.
Yes, correct. Reason for the increase here is because it is a predominant business here in the community. Hinsdale Flowers really doesn't get the job done. Hinsdale Flower Shop's what the company is known for, and they want to keep it that way. Also, with the addition of the sign on the side of the building, just adds to notoriety in the community as well. Folks can absolutely see more of their brand, get more exposure. That's what we're looking here to accomplish.
Okay, thank you. Cynthia, any questions or comments?
No, I think it looks wonderful. They're really successful there.
Yes, thank you.
They've been around for a long time.
Yes, yeah. Folks are great. Dave's a great guy.
Thanks, Cynthia. Jim?
Similarly, no comments.
Excellent.
Sherry?
Nothing to add.
Okay. Julie?
I have a question about the front sign with Hinsdale Flower Shop. Is that centered in the building?
I believe so. You know, I can triple check that with the team. It might just be the photo, the angle of the photo
Right.
itself, but
Okay.
I believe so. Yes, ma'am.
And then I have no problem with the modification request, but the sign on the east exterior,
Yes,
I wish that could be a foot lower.
it absolutely can be. Yeah, sure.
I just think it would look better with whatever the louver doors are, or whatever that is, you know, on the
Okay,
side.
yep.
Yeah,
But I think everything else looks great.
awesome.
So a foot lower,
A foot lower, yes,
Okay.
please.
sounds good. Thanks, Julie. Mark?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think I like the idea of that foot lower on the side. I like that, the sign on the side. Regarding the one in the front, I guess I'm okay with the modification, but I mean, my first inclination, it seems a little big for the space. So I know is there any like shrinkage that you could do of the sign itself?
At that point, the letters won't be fabricatable.
Oh, okay.
So that's why we try to minimize it as much as possible.
I mean, it's crazy.
Okay.
They're only like this tall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, it just seems like big in that space,
Yeah.
but.
I think it's that band so small.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm fine with that part. I did see that the application doesn't include anything about the timer for illumination, so I think we need to.
Yeah, the north sign is visible from residential properties.
Right.
The east sign is not.
Right,
Yeah.
so,
So that would be a condition I'd want, is the north sign
Yeah.
would turn off at 10, on at 7.
yeah, exactly. Other than that, I'm fine with it.
Sounds good? Thanks, Mark. Scott?
Yeah, I think that's the same thing I was thinking too, especially on the timer, the light timer. What time is the business gonna be closed? Is it like a 5 o'clock?
I believe so, yeah. I mean, I drove by there today, it didn't look like they were open, so
Yeah.
I think
So
about 5:30-ish.
are we turning signs off when stores are closed? Is that kind of?
No,
the
10
thing?
to 7 is what the code is, if it's
I
faces
know
a
that's what
resident.
the code is, but what
Yeah.
are we encouraging?
They can stay open longer if the store's open longer.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I feel like they should have an opportunity to advertise.
Yeah.
'Cause there's other stores.
Ken's been pretty consistent.
Okay.
And this is
Great.
Grant Square too, so I think this is, it's,
Yep,
I guess
yep.
it's considered central business district.
I'm good.
Okay, awesome. Let's see here. I think it looks good. I like the suggestion. It looks a little tight to that louver, so dropping that a foot would be good. And just adding a timer for that north sign.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome,
Appreciate
thank you,
it.
folks.
Hi, Anna.
Hi.
Any thoughts on the Grand Square sign? Is it a flower shop?
Sorry.
No worries.
Foot lower?
Yeah, well, we're
I thought
proposing
it's
it.
obviously bigger than it needs to be, right? Than is allowed, but I get why it has to be bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Julie suggested this a foot lower.
Oh, yeah.
And then basically the one facing north, to have that turn off at 10 and on at 7.
Yeah.
Since you can see it from some
Right,
houses.
because it didn't have anything listed. Yep, see, I did
Okay.
my homework,
All right.
even though I'm late.
No worries. I think there's a lot of kids studying or something. Do I have a motion to approve case A-44-2025 as submitted with the modification that the east sign would be lowered a foot and that the north sign would be controlled by a timer and turned off at 10 PM and on at 7 AM?
So moved, Cernovich?
Second, Willoughby?
Roll call vote, please, Bethany?
Commissioner Curry?
Aye.
Commissioner Kurlenberger?
Aye.
Commissioner Jablonski?
Aye.
Commissioner Cernovich?
Aye.
Commissioner Willoughby?
Aye.
Commissioner Fiascone?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Chairman Cashman?
Aye. Good luck, thanks. Our next is case A-49-2025 for 100 Chestnut Street, Breakpoint, installation of one wall sign and one permanent window sign. Welcome. Just tell us your name and give us an overview.
Yeah, my name is Haley Beyer. I'm one of the managers at the shop.
Okay, great.
Mike Berker, I'm with the sign company fabricating the sign.
Awesome. And Scott, would you like to start?
Yeah, this is, it seems like it's pretty clean, but it isn't because of the building and everything going on there. Your sign is almost twice as large on a square footage basis than anybody else there. And it leaves a total of about 16 square feet for 2 more tenants, which means those signs would be a quarter of the size of yours. And that's not including the permits that we need for the other tenants in the building. I know we're approving this, I know we're not approving this, I don't know that this is what we're looking at, but
But also during the code, 25 square feet would be the maximum per tenant, correct?
Yeah, and so
Correct, and then
there's just so much going on here
Yeah.
that just doesn't meet anything that we're trying to accomplish. And some of it's specifically this,
Right.
some of it's the building, some of it's the other tenants, some of it's the owner of the building. Some of it's the lighting at 5,500K. It's a whole bunch of things all rolled into one, and it makes it difficult for me to get comfortable with this at this point. So that's my thought.
Good. Thanks, Scott. Anna?
Yeah, I echo that. I think if we allow this to go above, and there's so many inconsistencies and already in the shopping center, we kind of, unfortunately, you're kind of the example as to what needs to happen in the rest of the building. So I think we need to follow code here.
Thanks, Anna. Mark?
I agree with everything that's been said. Those were my thoughts. I think when I first saw the sign in and of itself, it seems large for the space in and of itself, but then when you
Once
take
you get to
it.
that table.
Yeah, yeah.
That was
then-
Bethany as well, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That table was not easy to put together.
Thanks, Mark. Julie?
I agree with the others. I don't understand why the building owner did not follow the code. And so now the tenants seem to have inherited this problem. I also think the breakpoint sign is too large compared to the other signs. And it kind of really is not the same style as the other signs. I think you guys might, I don't know, go back to the drawing board.
True, which we can talk about procedural, how we could handle this.
Okay.
Can I ask a question
Sure.
on it? So with that sign, it is centered over that entire shopping part of it. How would you suggest that it be, or
Well, the biggest
the
problem is
placement
square
or
footage.
with it, just because like the way it is set up there, if you're looking at the space like head on, and I know it's different when it's the
Yeah.
actual sign on the building and stuff,
Yeah.
but if you're standing outside, it really, maybe with lighting, it would be different, but I feel like it's pretty center and covers like pretty spot on in there. I feel like and I could see maybe a little smaller, but I feel like, correct me if I'm too much smaller though, might look a little awkward over the middle of the double shopping windows where most of the other spaces have a small singular front.
I mean, the big issue is, you're at 35 square feet, you're 10 square feet over what's allowed.
Okay, so
So-
as long as it would, but if it was something a little bit closer to it, just because it is, basically, if you're looking at it, it's almost the fronts of the store is two fronts compared to all of the other ones, which are basically one.
You're kind of on the mansard,
Storefront.
where the other ones are on the vertical
So,
ephes.
yeah, so that does make a little bit of a difference on where the actual middle and front of the store is.
Okay, we'll
I
see.
kind of don't follow what you're saying a little bit, because I'm looking at the cleaners, I'm looking at Edward Jones.
Yeah, so.
They have a single door and a window on both of those, or windows on each side?
So if you look at cleaners, is the size of our one window, and then we still have that whole other section.
I understand.
And the Edward Jones also has that section there that they enter through, and then it's all separate. So our space is a door and another half door on there, so it is like almost a half business front larger on the front end. So I don't mind it being smaller, I'm just saying,
Yeah, I think it's okay centered
Significantly.
in that space.
but significantly
okay.
smaller might look a little, like really small over the two spaces.
I don't
I'm
think
not
so.
saying like that
I
it
don't
would
think
have,
so.
that it's completely out of the question, I'm just saying,
And on the same.
is there any wiggle room on that if it's because of the way it is over two fronts, basically?
But then you look at Properties, which is a much bigger space. And you look at their signage, which is smaller than what you have.
Well, they have like the simple right, for their logo stuff with it.
I know, but that's
Yeah,
certainly
no,
not our
I'm
problem.
asking, I'm trying to like
Yeah.
figure out what makes sense, so that way when we are looking back at this and we're trying to come up with something that's appealing for us, but that also works for you guys, because I'm gonna be probably a middleman here who's, when they're saying, well, we want it to look like this,
Right.
and we want it to be this way, and he's saying, well, this is what they said, I
No,
can
I know
kind
you're
of
doing what.
go in with them and say, hey,
Yeah.
this is what, this is where the issue is, this is kind of why, and try to help make
For our
it
zoning ordinance, the only latitude we have
Easier.
is 5% of the total sign. So
Okay.
it could be 26.25 square feet, window sign and wall sign combined.
Okay,
So
Okay.
you're still,
yeah, no, that's understandable. I just,
so you
yeah,
could get to
that's all I
that,
wanna
but
know.
what I'd kind of recommend, I'd like to hear the other commissioners say is, we can either reject it, but then you kind of go back to the start, or we
Right.
could continue this and allow you to come back at the December meeting with a
Yeah.
revised design, and then we could consider that, which I kind of prefer to do versus
Yeah.
forcing to start over.
Of course, and then, so, just so we know specifically,
A horizontal with
what,
the
so
logo right there,
beside,
so it
if
looks like
the
this.
size is better, is that something that would be approved then, if it's within that, or are we still gonna have issues then with lights or design? Cause then I just wanna make sure that we're getting it all handled into one versus
Well, we can-
having to come
let's-
back
we-
to
we-
three
we-
more.
Take us off.
Yeah, let's hear a lot, the rest of the comments, and then
Yeah.
we can address it, because that's a good
Yeah.
question, because that way, is it just a square footage
Otherwise,
thing,
we're
or is it aesthetics?
You know, there's aesthetics.
Okay,
Yeah.
I guess so. Is it
This-
Jerry?
There's no way I could vote for this right now, and I tried bullying the other ones not to vote for it from an aesthetic standpoint. I occasionally succeed at that. Everybody else has individual letters standing there, and you've got this white channel lit rectangular sign that's too big, just as a side point to me, that is currently out of context with all the other signs on the building. And until it looks like the other signs on the building, I'm not gonna vote for it, no matter what size it is.
But is it, like, what if the logo wasn't there, it was the letter, it was the name,
It's just, breakpoint with a logo would be fine. There's an ampersand.
right?
The
Would
breakpoint
it-
logo is an individual thing, and then breakpoint going across would look like everything else at the.
Is that
building.
because it's a sloping
The-
backdrop?
The only reason that there is an inconsistency with the other channel letters is because of the inconsistency of the facade. So there's a angle iron behind that in order to have the sign
Because they're on a mansard
straight,
roof.
they're on a mansard roof, so we
Yeah.
have that straight up and down. To have channel letters on a mansard roof, they would not be facing straight out. We would have to
You
have,
don't have the ability to make one of the letters, or one of the brackets longer than the other?
we could have an angled bracket coming off the roof with a raceway
Like a raceway.
attaching
Yeah.
those letters
That which we've
across.
seen, yeah.
We're just trying to hide the fact of a floating raceway off of a mansard. That's why we went this route. Not saying we're
Okay.
against it, but that's why we started
Okay.
that way.
Makes sense. But what are, okay, let's continue on.
Yeah. I
Jim?
would prefer that to this big white.
Okay.
Okay. I see your point, and I would prefer the raceway, but my biggest objection is size, proportion.
Thanks, Jim. Cynthia?
I'm in agreement with everyone else. I find that big block confusing when it's not over one of the other doors. And all you're looking at in the center is the gutter, the downspout. Is there not a way you could do this on a horizontal breakpoint instead of the big block in the middle, which then would reach over to the two doors?
One linear,
One
as
linear-
opposed to stacked.
Yeah.
Yes.
With maybe a darker raceway
To
Yes.
blend.
that blends into the roof, and then the letters would stand out.
Because quite honestly, I find this confusing.
Do you use both doors?
No, we only use the one,
Which one?
the one to the left,
The left, okay.
if you're looking at it.
So I guess let's,
Yeah, and then I,
size is number one issue, but then let's talk, like, maybe one more round about the
Aesthetics.
aesthetics of it, the
And
design of
then
it.
for the lettering,
one
do you guys
other.
prefer, like, is the colored letter okay if it had maybe like a white border to it or glow behind it, or I'm just trying to think, because the idea of the store is that it is supposed to be a little bit more of that luxurious sports card and hobby collection spot, so we don't wanna just have something that is, we want it to still fit and obviously be aesthetically pleasing with the plaza, but we also don't want it to end up looking just overly plain or not matching the energy of the store, but we also don't want to overpower. I understand your
Nothing
point.
about this sign looks luxurious.
So, no,
The one
I haven't
proposed.
seen this part
I
here, but
agree.
I can understand what you're saying, but with the lights and everything, I can see where the point is going with it, with if you get rid of that back point and it had like
Could they be white channel letters versus the green?
well,
then they
that's,
would
yeah, that's what
contrast.
I'm just like, that's
Yeah.
what I'm asking, is that like the only way it's gonna go through?
Well, I can see, because you're making this white background to make the green one stand off. 'Cause you have a
Right.
dark
Or if
roof
it had
behind
like a
it.
glow, a white glow as like almost a outline to it, where it pops more. I don't know how that would be possible. He would be the sign man, but I'm just for possibilities for.
Right. And one thing we can also do, because we've done this before, is you could come with multiple concepts.
Okay.
Say
You know, that way
yeah.
you can have things that you're interested, and that tends, and when it's something like this, for us to find a happy medium where we might,
Yeah.
you know, like a color of one and a design of another.
Yeah,
So
'cause
we certainly could do
obviously-
that.
We want it to be cohesive and work with the whole plaza, but we also just, we still want some personality to it, but we
Right.
don't want it to overpower either, so the feedback is important, but
Right.
then he's gotta make it happen, I gotta get the guys to say, oh, it looks good, we like it, so,
I mean, the biggest situation is the size.
okay,
And
yeah,
then
we can address
secondly,
that.
And I think figuring out a way, looking at different options with that mansard backdrop and the dark backdrop, where when it's non-illuminated, then it would still stand out. I mean, but we certainly would look at multiple options.
Yes.
Any other thoughts about aesthetics?
I just had one other question. The sign that's up there now almost appears to be a permanent or semi-permanent sign. Usually you'll see something that looks more like a, you know, temporary vinyl. What's up there now?
What is up there now is almost what you see in this proof. It's a non-illuminated, flat version of what the owners intended on us having, making real, dimensional, and illuminated. But it's a flat, non-illuminated panel right now.
Okay.
Other thoughts about the aesthetic side of things?
I like this channel idea, breakpoint all on one thing would be good, and put your logo on the side. I think it fits very well that way, and yeah, get creative, have fun with it, and come up with some ideas that we can play with.
Yeah.
I think it'd be
yeah.
good.
Thank you.
People, they're always gonna find the store, just look for the bikes out front.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the kids are crazy. I know. I've been, guys, can we put our bikes in the rack? Because they'll block the entire
that's-
front door all the way across. But at least it gives them something
Well,
to do.
that says that you guys have a great
Yeah.
shop.
But the kids are awesome. They're honestly, they're really fun to get to see them. You know, they're all a little bit different, but they have their interests. They'll teach you stuff. They teach all the other little kids who come in. They help them. They share their cards. They learn about negotiating and trading. And
Oh,
it's honestly, it's really cute to get to see them all hanging out in there.
Mark?
I'm fine with, as we're talking about.
As we've said many times when signage has come before us, we're not trying to change anyone's logo, obviously. But it's not necessarily appropriate on the signage at all times.
Yeah, no, I totally get it, and that's why I just wanted as much feedback from you guys on what would be allowed, so that way we don't go, oh, what about this? We think it's something great, and then we're gonna come back and then have to go back.
Sure.
And, you know,
Right.
our goal is to make it where this next one will be the last time where we have to come
That's
through
usually our
everything will
goal,
look
too.
good.
That's great. Thanks for your flexibility.
Yeah, right, that's,
Because if it goes beyond the 5%, then it's not us, it's the ZBA, and it's a much different process. You know, you have to prove all kinds of hardship and stuff. So, I guess any other comments or thoughts?
Very general question. Sometimes we see a letter from the landlord in a multi-tenant situation like this. Are you consulting with the landlord?
A letter of approval, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
So we can have,
has
usually what we do, once we get a final approved, you'll see this proof with with signature lines, dates, letter of approval. We can have them sign the proof,
Okay.
or a letter of approval, whatever.
Is he involved in the process though at this point, or is that gonna be, you're planning on doing that?
Yeah, once we do a final, otherwise he approves something, we do this, and then, oh, here's another one. So,
Understood.
once we get down to the final specifics, landlord will have a approval sign off, and we can go from there.
I can speak to this as well. I'm actually meeting with the landlord next week because as you guys saw in the packet, there's some other signage on the building, especially the permanent window signs that were never approved. So I'm working with the landlord to try to see what he's going to allow, at least for those other cases, to make sure there's extra signage for other tenants as well. So I can provide an update when they do come back, and we'll probably have some things resolved by then.
Okay, outstanding. Yeah, I don't wanna set a precedence of violating proportions or percentages or anything like that, and I'm glad the landlord and you are talking, I'm glad everybody's talking to the landlord.
Was our last one at Properties? I remember reviewing that one. I feel like that was the most recent on this building.
I'd have to go back and look of who got the most recent approval.
I think so.
It may have been even this particular tenant space, or if not, maybe Edward Jones. I'd have
Our
to go back and
realtor on
look.
commission, we
Yeah.
remember.
And Ed Properties has reached out to us in the past because they've merged with Christie's of how they could change their signage as well in the future. So we've been kind of working with several of the tenants. And then I believe there's going to be a new tenant for 108 Chestnut shortly as well, so, which is one of the vacant spaces.
And then, and there was one comment in here, that you can't see this from any residential property, doesn't face residential property. There's a comment about timer that wouldn't be required here.
Yeah, and we would, stores, the
Unless you-
actual
unless you
store
wanna-
shuts down at 8.
Want to tell the
but-
kids not to come with their bikes, turn the lights off.
Yeah, yeah, we've done it actually. They'll still come in. We're close, like, the main store is closed for like general stuff on Tuesdays sometimes, so we can do some catch up. And they'll stand and knock on the window.
Okay.
Hey. So
I had a
sometimes you
feeling
end up
maybe
letting
there's
them in.
another
You're
reason
like,
for
"Come on,"
that.
You know, but.
Well, if you're acceptable to it, we'll basically we'll continue this to the December 10th meeting.
Okay, and, yeah.
And please just work with Bethany. If you have any questions, you can get that through the
Cool.
process.
And then I'm sure you have.
I have two comments. One simple one. Was it Mark or Scott that mentioned the temperature of the the lighting?
I did, yeah.
That is, I believe that's within compliance, or is there an issue? You mentioned an issue with the 55, so is that,
I'd say
And if it's
we're
not
aiming for
residential,
35
then
to
I guess it would
4,
There's,
right?
there's no code requirements, but we've, generally speaking, especially in areas like this, unless you're on Ogden Avenue, we've tried to keep a 3,000 to 4,000
so a warmer,
color temperature. Yeah,
a
we've-
warmer over
we've-
a cooler?
Our plan
Right.
commission has
Okay.
generally recommended that.
For
Okay.
guidance, warmer over a cooler.
Okay, that's good to know.
3,500 would be much better.
Okay. And then if we were to go down to the, let's say it's 25 max square feet, we comply with the square footage of the new sign, the layout that's been proposed. The next comment that maybe is, well, that's in compliance, but the rest of the tenants, future tenants still have limited sign square footage. So would we
No,
still
it's-
have to bring it below that to comply for future tenants?
No, I mean, because basically it's 25 plus we could go up 5% higher than that, which would be 26 and change, so.
So in this case, just to clarify, everyone's given 25, but it's based on the building as a whole. So the building as a whole is actually, yeah, it's a very weird building. We don't see this often, but because of the way it is, they're allowed to have a total for the entire building of 175 square feet. And then that building owner can choose to divvy it up differently. Almost every one of these signs, though, is, except for Velvet Touch, almost all the signs are anywhere from 17, 18 square feet. Velvet Touch has the largest at 21, based on our past information.
Right.
They're obviously much larger than those, but that gives a little extra room for permanent window signage.
Correct.
To factor into 25 square feet each. But the building owner could decide, well, at property has 2 frontages, they're our biggest tenant, we want to actually give them more than the 25 square feet. We do have certain cases in town where the building owner could decide that. But right now, we've kind of got a situation where we have a lot of signs out there that weren't permitted, so that's why we're working with the building owner as well.
So that's gonna drive
But
what
there's
your
a,
question
yeah.
is the
Yeah.
conversation she's gonna have with the landlord.
Can I
Yes.
also,
Well, actually though, because we've had this happen before where if we approved it at, say, 25 square feet, then it's really, you're approved, this next guy's problem.
Yes,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
so that's why the buildings owner is involved as well,
Yeah.
so we wanna make sure, if, for example, 108 Chestnut is currently vacant, if the building owner, quote, gave away all the signage to someone else,
Right.
he now has his tenant space where no one gets signage. So that's what we're trying to avoid,
Yes.
but their signage, obviously, as a plan commission, you're also reviewing the consistency with our sign code, and we have, in here, visual compatibility, qualitative, scale, there's certain things that also have to meet for the sign code for your purposes.
for parking lot signs, we have 3 spaces. The standard sign size for those is fine, right? Is there like any weird?
We don't get involved with parking. signs.
I just wanna make sure there's no weird
I
rules
can
or
work with you
anything
separately
on
on
those.
Bike rack signs, yeah.
Yeah, or anything like that. And then,
Smart tenants.
are we allowed to put, like, if say something, like, we can't put anything in the windows, correct? Even temporary, like about a.
I can also work with you on temporary
Cool.
signage, and we can talk about
Okay, so if
that.
we ever do need it, it is something we should contact
Yeah,
and then
and
go
we can
through?
talk right
Okay.
after the meeting.
Perfect, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that
Yeah, just
I
reach
don't
out to
do
Bethany.
something that causes an issue
Yeah, no.
with you.
And that
you know,
way,
anything else
within the
we
next
need.
month, we can really work with you and
Perfect.
help you. so that-
Awesome, we appreciate that,
Yeah.
guys, thank you.
And as many concepts as you want to present. I
Perfect,
mean.
and then did you have another?
I had that covered. I just want to make sure when we make these future changes that other tenants don't affect what. So as long as we stay in compliance,
Someone
That's,
have to
that's
go
on
to Ad
us.
Properties and say, you know, can you get rid of one of your signs?
Yeah.
What's the cost?
And,
I don't
the
see it.
existing sign can stay up as long as we're in process of working on a permanent sign.
Correct.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thank
appreciate
you.
you for your time.
Welcome to town.
Thank you.
So can I have a motion to continue case A-49-2025 for 100 Chestnut Street for Breakpoint to our December 10th meeting?
So move more.
A second?
Krillenberger seconds.
Roll call vote, please, Bethany?
Commissioner Curry?
Aye.
Commissioner Krillenberger?
Aye.
Commissioner Jablonski?
Aye.
Commissioner Cernovich?
Aye.
Commissioner Willoughby?
Aye.
Commissioner Fiasconi?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Chairman Cashman?
Aye. We have one more sign permit review. It's case A-52-2025 for 8 East First Street, Danucci's, installation of one awning sign and permanent window signs.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome.
My name's Brianne Cardin. I'm with Ballyhoo Hospitality and Danucci's, opening at 8 East First Street. And we are proposing the small awning sign and then some permanent window signs as well that you'll see.
Cynthia, questions? comments?
First, I love your restaurants.
Thank you.
I have family in Winnetka, and we're always at one of the, you need to open the French one here.
We just opened a small version in the city, so
Oh, I
we'll
heard
see if
that.
we
I
can
heard
keep it,
that.
keep it moving.
It's incredible. It's kind of always a go-to. I had a question about you're gonna use existing, I thought there was a round awning above the single door, but it looks like it's gonna be integral to the bigger awning that you're
Yes,
putting
I
in.
believe a previous image, it was an iteration that had been rounded. I had
Right.
seen photos of that. As of when we took over the property, it was sloped to be consistent with the large awning.
I think it looks great. Restaurant's gonna be wonderful in town. I had a question. You've got the signage in the windows of the different things. First of all, what is
Hot
hot and
and saucy.
saucy?
I heard your answer at
I
the
answered
board
this
meeting.
last
That's
week
good.
too. It's just the TikTok world that we live in.
Oh,
It
there
has
you
been
go.
part of our kind
Another-
of branding since the beginning as kind of a fun, something that guests could hashtag or kind of follow along with. So
Okay.
everything else is kind of consistent with it being a lively kind of Italian place for pizza, drinks, pasta, and then just being hot and saucy.
Great. The only other question I had is the signage that you have on the bottom of the windows, like the hot and saucy. If you go through town and there's cars parked there, you don't even see it. And if you're walking there, you're almost on top of it. And I wondered if you're aware how not visible that is.
We are, each location does kind of incorporate that in its branding, so we also did that to be consistent with the other locations. And then during patio season, when you do have a little bit more street visibility and things like that, just kind of to help bring the atmosphere outside. So we know that it won't be quite as visible, and I feel like that's kind of consistent on the street there as well. There's not anything large and flashy, so we wanted to keep it that way too.
I think it looks great.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Cynthia. Jim?
Yeah, I'm excited too for you to open up, and your comments are all on the mark. I have no further comments.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Jerry?
It looks great, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Julie?
I really like the color of the new awnings.
Thank you. We're excited.
And I think they're perfect, with it being a historic Zook building. I think everything blends in better. I love the, window signs too, so I'm excited you're gonna be opening here.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I thought I read December.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Mark, thanks, Julie.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like the color a lot as well. I had the same question about hot and saucy as well, so I'm not TikTok hip, but yeah, so I'm good with it.
Hashtag pizza doesn't get the action.
No,
I don't even have TikTok, but that's what the marketing team tells me,
Ask
so.
me about it. Thanks, Mark.
yeah.
Anna?
I also love the color. It's amazing. I actually am not a fan of the window signage. I think it's unnecessary and it doesn't go with the character of our street. I don't love it. think it's unnecessary, but, everything else is great.
Thank you.
I'm gonna say something I've never said before, but your name Danucci's looks small compared to everything else, and it's like, you've got room to make it
I
larger.
know. We did go through several iterations considering both the window signage and that being considered a second sign. With the striped awning, which is again consistent at all of our locations, and we did want to include that. It gets very lost if you go like larger on the main panel or anything like that. So for visibility, and then we went back and forth with Bethany on sizing and stuff like that to make sure that we stayed within the code. That was kind of the best option to stay visible as well as stay compliant.
I like it. It's good.
Well, and I know the Historic Preservation Commission was in favor of it, too. They liked it. Thought it was in keeping with the village and a historic architect's building, so I think it looks great. Okay, thank you. Any other comments, questions? No? Do I have a motion to approve? Hold on here. Case A-52-2025 for 8 East First Street for Danucci's installation of one awning sign and the permanent window signs.
Motion to approve Curry?
Do you have a second?
Second, Willoughby.
Roll call vote, please, Bethany?
Commissioner Curry?
Aye.
Commissioner Kurlenberger?
Aye.
Commissioner Jablonski?
Aye.
Commissioner Cernovich?
Aye.
Commissioner Willoughby?
Aye.
Commissioner Fiascone?
Nay?
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Chairman Cashman?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank
Good luck.
you. Thank you very much.
See you in December.
Thanks.
Do you have a
Okay.
date yet in December?
Yeah.
Are you close?
I was scared it said December when I saw it in the packet.
Oh, no.
I'm working very, very hard.
I don't think it
It
said which
close?
December, though.
St. Patrick's Day with the green sign.
Good luck.
Thank you. Okay, next, we have a public meeting, case A-45-2025, exterior appearance and site plan review for 550 West Ogden Avenue, Illinois Bone and Joint Institute, outpatient surgery center.
Well, good evening,
Welcome.
everyone. It's a pleasure to be here tonight to introduce the Illinois Bone and Joint Center Surgery Center Hinsdale, 6OR ambulatory, outpatient ambulatory surgery center, new construction located at 550 West Ogden Avenue.
Could you state your name, just?
Yes, sorry, Nick Tomasi with BBL Medical Facilities. So
Okay.
we are the design build firm working on behalf of IBJI.
Okay, great.
And I'll run through
Thank you.
some introductions here of the team. I know we ran a little deeper than the rest of the folks here tonight.
Always
So-
good to be prepared.
So with us here tonight, we have Dr. Jason Herbenek with Illinois Bone and Joint. He's the
Welcome.
practice president. Margarita Quadra with IBJI, the practice manager. Jay Horn with CBiz Somerset,
Hi.
the owner's representative. And then you have Nick Tomasi, our project executive with BBL, leading the design and construction team, with my associate Jake Mack, who's the senior project manager as well. And then we have the architect of record, Joe Riley, the civil engineer of record, Harold Fay, and the landscape architect, Catherine Talty.
Hi, Catherine.
So they'll be available here at the conclusion of our kind of brief presentation, just to introduce the project, to answer any pointed questions that you may have. So with that, I'll let Dr. Herbenek kind of lead us off with a little bit of the legacy of IBJI's involvement in Hinsdale, and then we'll get into some more project-specific topics.
Hi, thanks for having us tonight. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here. So as mentioned, I'm Dr. Jason Herbenek. I'm the managing partner of the Hinsdale division of IBJI. If you're a Hinsdale resident, you may have long known the Hinsdale orthopedic practice that's been at 550 West Ogden. Some of my senior partners, Mike Collins and Mike Zindrick and Mark Lorenz, you may have heard of or known or seen over the years. I was really fortunate to be hired into the practice. We have a strategic plan in place whereby if you've been a patient or had a family member in the practice, you may have been seen at the Ogden building in the clinic office. You may have also been seen at the Westmont location, on which you can see on the west side of 83 if you head north from Ogden. Or if you had surgery, you may have had surgery at Salt Creek Surgery Center, which is our group-owned surgery center at Cass and Ogden, down Ogden. We have a strategic plan whereby we are going to move all of our clinical operations out of the Ogden building, move it to our Westmont building, where we are expanding in that space off of Pasquinelli. And therefore, we want to move the surgery center business from the Cass Ogden location to this new project, which we are presenting tonight at the 550 West Ogden location. So the goal is to build an ambulatory surgery center, go from 4 operating rooms to 6 operating rooms, and that's and that goes along with the trend of outpatient surgery, orthopedics especially. So that's our goal tonight. We've been grateful partners. We've been really happy to serve the community over the years. And we've been there, as you can see on the slide, 63 years in that location. And we want to maintain that location. We feel like we have visibility there and that the community knows us in that location. One last point, Hinsdale Orthopedics, as you've known us, did merge with Illinois Bone and Joint Institute. So we are the same doctors, the same practice, but we are with the IBJI larger practice. So just a point of clarification there. So I'll turn it over now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Urbanek. And to add to what Dr. Herbenek said, as far as the development of this project, this is kind of a year in the making to get to this point. I think it was about a calendar year, almost to the day, that we've been working with the planning staff to really hone this development on this site. There were a number of challenges that we've kind of navigated collaboratively with the planning team, and are thankful for all the guidance that they've offered us over the past year. So just to give you a little bit of an overview of where the project site is at 550 West Ogden Avenue. Obviously, you can see Ogden Ave to the north, North Monroe Street to the east. We're flanked by the Kensington School and the 8 development on the eastern side, and then the Pearl of Hinsdale nursing facility to the west, and then residential neighborhoods to the south. So in this image, it kind of looks like all parking area, but the area to the north side here, that is the building footprint. Because of having just under 2 acres there, we were able to kind of solve the parking need by burying a portion of the 96 spaces that we have allotted on the site underneath the building. So there are 58 staff parking spots that are underneath the structure, and then we have 38 on-grade parking spots to the south here. Also, the existing storm ponds here that are towards the front, that is where we're going to maintain stormwater management. And to just touch quickly on kind of curb cuts here, so as you come down North Monroe Street, we have a 2-way entrance into the staff parking area underneath the building, and then a 1-way entrance for patient drop-off to the canopy, which we'll discuss a little bit later in some of the renderings, and then another 2-way entrance and exit to the south, which also maintains a cross connection from North Monroe Street to the Pearl of Hinsdale, which was a specific request from the fire department as we kind of started to navigate the project with planning. And if the aerial view didn't do it, this is the building that's currently there, just as a reminder of what it looks like currently today. View from Ogden Avenue as well as Monroe Street. Some quick site highlights. Just wanted to kind of hit the main bullet points that we felt were important to touch on a quick presentation. Zoning conformance, obviously with evolving zoning codes, the current site there is not in compliance with a number of current zoning codes, but we've worked diligently as a team to comply with all of the zoning codes here with this new project. As well as landscape ordinances. Reduced traffic, another key component here. So an outpatient surgery center has far less trips per day than an orthopedic clinic, which is much higher volume. Parking lot reduction. So as I had mentioned, being able to bury 58 of those spaces below grade. Underneath the building, we only have 38 remaining that are, visible out to the public, from what I believe are like 102 currently. Impervious surface reduction, another key point, we are actually reducing the amount of impervious surface on the site by about 10,000 square feet, which will help with stormwater management performance. Concealment measures, we really painstakingly made the interior program of this building work, both for the operations of the surgery center, but also strategically positioning the material management and kind of back of house functions, generator, dumpsters, all of those things that you kind of want out of sight and out of mind from public view, to this area with some concealment that you'll see in some renderings. If you recall, what's currently there, the dumpster and kind of all of those elements are facing Ogden Avenue. So one of the key things from, in the design was to move that here. And then site lighting, obviously all the new site lighting will comply with current code requirements, with cutoff fixtures, won't exceed 15 feet, all of those things. Some landscaping highlights. Obviously, we've looked at the landscaping ordinances in detail, paid particular attention to foundation landscaping along any foundations between both the roadways at Ogden and Monroe, as well as the adjacent Pearl to the west. We've also paid particular attention to perimeter landscaping, having a compatible buffer along Ogden Avenue and Monroe Street, and having a transitional buffer to the south, kind of separating the commercial use from the residential. We've also had a lot of direct communication with outreach to the neighbors. Ahead of the actual mandatory posting, we put out a voluntary mailer to everybody to inform them of the project and just let the community know what we're up to. We have had direct communication also with the neighbors to the south, directly to the south here, and they're very supportive of the project and happy with our landscaping proposal there. Irrigation system, so we'll have corner to
Before you
corner.
go on with that, could you just, I know in the comments that you had, that there was something that they had asked for. Can you explain what it was? There were some minor changes that they asked for.
Yep, so they were asking about how we were gonna have a buffer there. So I think at one point, there was some discussion of a berm that may have been discussed many years ago. And they after meeting with them, and Margarita can speak to this a little bit if we wanna get into it more in the question and answer, but the gist of the sit-down was we went through the landscaping that we have proposed there, that combined with the buffer that already exists, which is very established vegetation that is, probably 30, 40 feet high. The combination of those two things is probably gonna meet their needs and be the most effective way of screening, our site from their residents.
So there wasn't any additions or changes to this?
Did they request any additional changes?
You wanna speak to that?
Fine, thanks.
I'll jump in. You were doing a great job with the landscape. I don't mean to. I'm Catherine Talty, landscape architect on the project. So the one thing that they asked or suggested really was some additional ornamental landscape along right along this portion. So
Okay.
their home is here.
Right.
And so they asked for, a bit of ornamental landscape that will look similar to the foundation landscaping
Oh,
of the
okay.
building.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
We just got the Spark Notes version of the meeting. We weren't physically there, so I apologize for misspeaking.
Oh, that's right. It was mentioned by Bethany, so I just wanted to
Yeah.
get some reflection on that. Okay?
So one of the key points we did want to bring up here on this slide was just island widths, so I'll kind of point them out. So in 2025, as we understand it, the code changed to have a mandatory island width of 9 feet instead of 6 feet. And in order to try to maintain this cross connection that the fire department had requested, as well as maintaining the parking that's really desired and needed, we're asking for relief on that island width to 6 feet, which was the previous requirement before the 2025 change. That's really the only minor change we're requesting, which we think works well.
And I think landscaping in that too, correct? There were
Yeah.
trees, and I think you're trying to move away from those with native grasses or something like that, if I read.
Native
correctly.
grasses, yes.
Yeah,
And Catherine can speak to that a little bit in more
Yep,
detail. if
yep.
you want.
Okay.
And then architectural highlights, so, obviously, here's an image, a couple views of the building. We have some blown-up views that we'll kind of go through a little bit slower after this slide, but the appearance enhancement, obviously, the new building will be designed to aesthetically complement the surrounding developments, or I should say, has been designed to complement them. Material selections are a combination of ephes, so kind of a stucco, look, in the white and gray solid areas, with a combination of that and cultured stone, where you can see the kind of cultured stone elements here, and you'll see them a little bit more detail as we walk around the building. We also have a drop-off canopy, a large, drop-off canopy here that accommodates both patient drop-off and discharge. So the way the workflow inside the building works, it basically flows clockwise. So your patient, where this white car is, will enter the building. The workflow obviously inside the floor plan, and the discharge is here. So you kind of come back, separate entrance and discharge, but a common pickup point. Equipment screening, a lot of attention was paid to equipment screening here. As you might imagine, a surgery center has very complex mechanical equipment that has to be strategically placed and is pretty large in size. So we strategically position that in the center of the roof and have a full concealment structure of a metal panel system that you'll get a better view of on the next slide as well. But those are kind of corralled in one pen in the center of the roof to have kind of a symmetrical roof screen. And then the exterior signage, so we're planning on 2 building signs, one on Monroe here, and then this one, you can't see it too great here, but you will in the other view, one on Ogden. And then also the plan is to have a monument sign on Ogden, not too different than the size of the monument sign that is currently there. And then architectural rendering, so here's just a zoomed in version of the front entrance. This is kind of what you'd see as you come in off of Monroe and you're approaching the drop-off canopy. You can also see our metal panel enclosure of kind of those back-of-house functions I was mentioning. The generator, which obviously is a sizable piece of equipment, has to have a certain size fuel tank, all of those things. It leads to a pretty large element you have to conceal. So that's what's kind of driven the scale of that enclosure. And we also have our dumpsters kind of corralled there so that, they aren't visible to the public. This is a view at the corner of the entrance off Monroe, kind of looking down towards the corner of Ogden. You can see kind of the split level design, or the 1.5 story building, and how it works with the surroundings. The single story elevation, if you will, facing kind of the residential side, and grades dropping to kind of a 2-story elevation on that more commercial corridor along Ogden. And you can start to kind of get a view of where you'd enter the building for the staff parking underneath. Here's the corner of Ogden and Monroe. You can get a better view of where you enter the building, also get a little better feel for the massing of some of the materials, the cultured stone here along the foundation, and then kind of raising that element here as well. And then your ephes in white and also gray, so kind of 2 ephes colors. And then here is the view from Ogden Avenue. I will note in this Revit rendering, it doesn't have all the actual landscaping that Catherine's drawing does. So there's a lot of landscaping there that isn't picked up in this rendering, just so that you have a clear view of what the building looks like. And you can have a clear view here of the sign that would be proposed on Ogden Avenue.
What is this square and the bottom in the gray area?
So
Yeah.
that is a louver for the parking
For the parking garage?
deck. Because of it being a concealed space, we have to mechanically ventilate it. So we tried to position that in such a way, in kind of the dark mass of the stone, and located in one spot. And what this image doesn't show clearly is all the landscaping that is truly going to be there. So you'll have quite a bit of buffer along Ogden Ave that we thought that would be sufficient to kind of screen that element.
Right.
And there are a number of constraints in the garage of where you can position that and get the proper square footage that you need for mechanically for it to work. And that really concludes the brief presentation. Like I said, we have all the design professionals here to answer any pointed questions you may have, and we'd open it up to questions.
Okay, thank you. Scott, questions, comments?
Oh, jeez.
I thought you were up
There's
next.
not much material, and look at all of you. No, this is great, and I like it a lot. One thing I would say is, it just kind of hits me, and I understand what the purpose of the building is for, but there's not a lot of windows. And I look at that, even if you're a patient in recovery and you're trying to wake up and your loved ones are coming in to hang out, like, I just, there's just not a lot of windows.
I can speak to that a little bit.
And I think the
can
surgical
chime in.
part of it's more towards the center, is that, which is what I saw. So it seems like patients are on the perimeters or recovery or whatever we're gonna call it. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, but help me out with that.
So there's a couple pieces to that, and I'll let Joe chime in as well. So we're trying to put glass where it's gonna, so a surgery center, I guess I'll start here. With a surgery center, you're somewhat limited on glass where you can put it in very sensitive areas for temperature and humidity. So there's sterile processing department, those types of functions. Those are all positioned on the, I'll say, kind of the back side of the building facing the Pearl. So there are fewer windows on that elevation for that reason. We try to have extensive glass along the front elevation that's gonna get into the waiting area and really the patient experience when they walk into the building. And then along this side, this is actually pre and post-op bays.
Okay.
So because of the medical gas that has to go on the head walls, on that exterior wall, you're limited to kind of a transom window type of element. So that's why these are more of a, linear element than big expanses of glass.
Yep.
Just because of the program that's inside. And then where we could, and architecturally, we're trying to anchor those corners and really do those glass elements where we can do them. This is a stairwell in the corner, and obviously I believe break area here, trying to do some big windows there. So
Yeah.
it's trying to put windows where you can, but we are somewhat limited just because of the functions of a surgery center.
Understood. So any other questions I would have would be more along the landscaping and the parking lot and the islands and the parking spaces and all of that, because it seems like you're hitting the number of parking spaces exactly.
Yes.
You had to shrink the islands to get that to work. I know that there's a fire issue as well, so there's a safety issue, and I get that, but we just went through this whole landscaping thing, not even, was it this year, earlier, last year?
This year.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the beginning of this year.
We spent a ton of time on this to try and get this to look better than it has been. And is there any way the trees can be planted? Is there anything that can go on that way? And yes, I'm speaking to you on the other side of the podium.
I'd like to speak to that one.
Is there any way that could be remedied, or is there any flexibility or thought that way? I mean, I appreciate the native grasses and all that, that's cool, but you know what I mean. Trees are nice.
We did explore the idea of trees in those islands in the early concept landscape plans. The thought was that we could do an understory size tree that would be able to thrive in those smaller islands. But as we talked through it, the thought was that perhaps the canopy tree, a full canopy tree, would give us more bang for our buck on the perimeter of the parking lot. And so we went that direction and added native grasses in the islands and on the inside of the parking lot.
Thank you.
That's how that evolved.
And then going back to the neighbors on the south side, is there gonna be any fencing in there as well? I mean, I know we talked about the combination of the new and the old. What's going on as far as, is there any fencing or anything that's gonna be between?
So there is a partial fence on the neighbor's property in their essentially their backyard. That strip of property, that boundary line is really heavily vegetated with I'll say voluntary,
Yep.
you know, plant material. We picked up a couple of, you know, full size, you know, trees in that border. But our thought was that by adding a fence, you really start deconstructing that existing screen that's there as it is. You're deconstructing that more in order to put the fence in. So the thought was that line of evergreens is, you know, essentially a solid screen. So we're gonna clear a portion of it kind of selectively and then install the evergreens that kind of run that length. And there is a bit of a grade change.
level
It's not
change,
like
yeah.
a berm, it's more of a depression.
Yeah.
So
Because the neighbor's actually up higher. than you, yeah.
exactly.
I like it overall. I like this, it's sleek, if that makes any sense at all, and it fits the topography very well. I think that that's well done. So those are the questions that I had, just a few like that. But I also like the entry and exits of it. I think that that's thoughtful, getting them off of Ogden. I think that that's smart. I question how the physicians are gonna get home and the staff are gonna get home at rush hour or whatever time you're leaving, taking a left. Good luck. It's, but, you know.
If they're there
It's
after,
allegedly
if they're there
not
after,
allowed.
if they're
It's
there after
allegedly not
7, they
allowed.
can turn left.
Yeah, exactly. So you know what I mean. You guys live there. So, yeah, but it's great. And it's, and thanks for the business ongoing. We appreciate that.
Thanks, Scott. Anna?
I really appreciate that this conforms to the zoning code. I think a lot of people wanted this piece of property they were not gonna conform to the zoning code, so that's nice to see. I also really appreciate the traffic and parking study. I think it's been a huge problem over there, the parking, and I, for one, am fine with the islands in the parking lot, to be smaller, to get the correct parking, because that's really the bigger issue, and we're only losing 2 trees, I think, yeah, the 2 trees maybe.
It's very few.
Yes, and we did actually add the trees on the perimeter.
Okay.
So we were installing the correct number of trees.
Yeah, so it's net, yeah, okay, yeah, so I am in favor of that variance, I guess. And it's just for my own knowledge, so I'm in the residential real estate world. Is EFS, that's a very scary word for us residential people. Is that like a normal, are all the problems solved?
Oh, yeah, the EFS systems, so the fully drainable systems today, easily 50-year systems. I know from 20 years
Yeah.
ago that there were some issues before they've kind of come out and drastically improved the fully drainable Outsolation Plus
coming
systems,
back.
those systems. Yeah, we do them a lot in medical facilities. Very durable, easy to maintain. So if you, fades over time, it's easy to paint.
Just curious.
It was really on the residential side that had the most
Yeah,
problems.
and it was like the early 90s.
Direct apply
Yeah,
EFS was
yeah.
Yeah.
the issue. Yeah.
And then I echo Scott's comments about the exterior front. Down the street, there's an outpatient center that has very few windows, and every time I drive by it, it's not great. So the exterior other side, the other side, yeah, the Ogden side. There's a parking garage under those windows, so you can't really add windows. But I just, I guess once the landscaping's in place, maybe it'll fill in. I just don't want it to look really stark, because that's the facade that everybody will see as they're driving
I think
by.
the one thing that is deceiving is the quantity of landscaping.
Yeah, and I think this is maybe a good slide to kind of demonstrate this, but, I use the architecture to kind of sort of be the backdrop for the landscape. So in areas where we do have kind of larger expanses of wall, like in this case, I've placed an understory, an ornamental tree, so that'll give you volume, and that tree will likely crown out about here, so the idea, I know we were challenged with window placements, but it was my win, because then I didn't have to worry about the windows, when we added. So that's happening here, and then in the area where we have that leeward vent, there's actually, it's not a hedge, but there are a number of viburnum here, flowering viburnum, so that they'll come up to be, 4 feet, 4.5 feet. They'll flower, they'll
That'll
be
help, yeah.
attractive, and they'll kind of screen some of those necessary elements on the building.
Can you comment on the other trees that are along Ogden? There's 2 ARBs, 2 QBIs, some PLAs.
Oh, are
Like
you
what-
looking at the landscape
Yeah,
plan?
what those are.
There's in here.
Yeah, those.
Make it small or-
Oh, right.
No,
I can actually open up the full
Oh, yeah,
file with
maybe,
the-
yeah, let's look,
Let me
and
escape
not
seeing.
that that's any better.
Is that it? I don't know if that's, is it in the same center? Not in the arc?
It's L1.
I think it's on the other side.
Much easier to
Yeah,
look
it's
at.
on,
Yeah.
it's on
This was right-
L1 right here.
Yeah, it's on the other
Yeah.
sheet.
It's gotta be.
For the plants. Yeah.
What do you see?
Oh, the one they just had up there.
There we go.
I'm sorry about that.
Nope, no problem. To get that full size for you. Come
One
on.
thing that's interesting is you have the Kensington, which is white. And then this has the white and grays, and then that 8 are all white.
That one?
Yeah. It's almost gonna kinda.
Yeah, this is
all work
probably the
together.
best,
Can you use people so what?
I can
new
pay it.
Ogden.
Still a little small.
The new Ogden Avenue corridor plan,
Yeah,
I guess.
yes.
I know. Now here, I can see it on the paper copy that I brought. Yeah, so Steve, I'm sorry, you were asking about the,
Yeah, so there's
trees
like
along
some
Ogden.
ARBs and QBIs, PLAs. Just like the ones that are along Ogden, the ones that
Right.
are along, just what those would look like, how big they are.
What are they?
Right, so the QBIs are a variety of white oak. So they look like your typical kind of oak with the rounded edged leaf.
Okay.
And they'll get to be a nice, large, overstory tree. The ARBs are a type of maple, so those will have brilliant fall color. And your, typical maple form.
Are these 30-foot trees at maturity?
It's annoying.
I'm sorry?
Are they roughly 30 feet? I'm trying to get.
Like
a
at
gauge on
maturity.
size. At maturity.
In maturity, I mean, they could be, 45 to 50 feet. I mean, that'll probably be long after I'm gone, unfortunately. But when
Few
they're
people left in this room.
installed, they'll be, 3-inch trees or so,
caliper.
and they'll tend to be, a good 15 to 17 feet tall, but juvenile, so somewhat narrow. But yeah, they are all intended to be large, overstory street type trees that can tolerate the abuse of
Right.
Ogden
Right.
Avenue. Yeah.
Salt spray. Okay, thank you.
Steve, I have one more
Sure.
question, if
Scott?
I may, if you're finished. And I'm sorry, on the fuel storage, your diesel on the backup?
Yeah, so
And are you above ground, below ground? How
It's
does-
a-
And how is that working?
it's a belly tank underneath the generator, so you need a 24-hour runtime for this occupancy, so you need enough fuel for that.
Yep.
But it is diesel because you need a reliable fuel source for ambulatory surgery centers, so they don't allow you to do natural gas.
Right, and so you're above ground underneath the unit though?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep, so it'll be a package generator, the tank will be underneath it.
yep, all right, thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Mark?
Yeah, thank you. I like the facility. My boys and I are frequent visitors of the current facility, so, just a couple of quick questions on the generator. Do you guys currently have a generator at the facility right now? Is there a generator there?
No, I don't believe
Okay,
there is.
and one reason I'm
Clinical
asking, I think we talked about this like with St. Isaac's, where near the residential, where you have to run it once a
Yep.
week, right? And so Has
Yeah.
that been given some consideration since we're right next to residential?
It certainly
At,
has,
like
yeah.
the run time, like during the day, not in the middle of the night
Yep,
type thing?
so we have control over that time when it exercises, so
Okay.
it does a weekly test and you can control when that happens. So
Okay.
it could be, you know, during the day
Okay.
or, you know, we would want to avoid a
Is it still
weekend.
10 o'clock? It seems like it is. You can always set your watch by it.
I'd have to check on that, but,
Yeah.
because we do have like noise regulations, especially for amplified
I
sounds
just know
like
around
that,
my
but-
house, it's 10 o'clock. Oh, there,
Yeah.
I can hear my neighbor.
But it wouldn't be great to do it at night,
Yeah,
no matter what.
tornadoes and generators.
We
Okay.
have flexibility over that,
Okay, yeah,
for
so
sure.
just wanted to make sure I note that. On the landscaping side of things, so on the current detention ponds, meant to drive by tonight, but it was dark by the time I went by. They're turf grass right now, right? Are we, and I think they get inundated, we got some erosion. Are we talking natives in the proposed ponds?
Or either way. Anyone take that?
Yeah.
Kind of unsightly right now.
Likely
Yeah.
not native grasses and forbs. We are going to re-turf some of that, but we placed the monument sign kind of right on the edge of that depressed area. This is kind of where the depressed area is. So I added.
I would prefer, I mean, those ponds get inundated for a while and they stay up and it kills the turf grass. I mean, I drove by for years and they're unsightly, in my opinion. So I would recommend
Is this
native.
the one that, for the pearl, is the one that's full with the cattails?
That's cattails.
Yeah.
This one's turf grass with some erosion in it. So
Yeah,
I would prefer like a stormwater seed mix or something that can handle inundation in those ponds. And then question on you have some ginkgos in the tree mix. Sorry, I keep coming back. Those take a while to develop, don't they? They're pretty slow growing. I love a ginkgo, but like we even consider one for our yard, but it's going to take 30 years to
100
get any
years.
girth, any girth
Yeah,
to
these
them.
all kind of grow at different growth rates. I love the ginkgos in the areas that are challenged because they're really resilient, you know, to kind of
Yeah.
the urban
Yeah.
condition. So we do use them. Not married to that type of tree, but
Maybe on the southern side where we are trying to give a little bit of screening. I mean, they're going to be small, relatively small for a while, and so maybe those two. I think you have two down there on the southern end, if I'm reading it right. GBI, right?
yes, sure, yeah, exactly. I mean, we can move things around so
Yeah.
they're on the perimeter or you know on
Yeah.
what would be the west perimeter of the parking lot instead, and we can. Right now we have tulip tree there, which does tend to grow a little faster.
Yeah. I just think some more meaningful screening sooner. I know,
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
we're talking they're going to get tall at some point, but they'll be small for a
I
while.
think the instant screening is really going to come from the evergreens.
Yes.
And we're gonna try our best to keep as much of that existing, a lot of that existing vegetation falls on the neighboring property
Okay.
anyway, so we're gonna be kind of careful.
Okay.
We're gonna be surgical.
Yeah, surgical. All right. I think that's my last landscaping one. Just a quick question on the parking garage. There's not going to be any door there or anything that people have to wait for, like those quick doors or anything. And the reason I ask is, again, Steve, you probably made this turn more than I have over the years, but I did it for a long time coming from daycare. That people are on you when you're coming off of Ogden, and you have to turn quick onto Monroe. And so if there's cars queuing up there, I'm sure that wasn't in the traffic study of the, like, you know, that kind of all those quick movements, but if there's any queue there, there's nowhere to go. And right now that's a very, very low utilized driveway.
Yeah, no,
and we're changing that, so just a consideration.
There is not a door planned for a variety of reasons,
Yeah.
just how many times it would
Yeah.
need to open, the functionality, the reasons you just outlined. So
Okay.
the plan was to have that open.
Okay. I think those are
That's a
my
good comment.
questions.
Thanks, Mark.
Yep.
Julie?
I love the plan. I think it's gonna be a big difference, like a difference between night and day. This is like the gateway to Hinsdale. Really like the landscape plan. I like that you're using tulip trees and ginkgos, even though they're slow growing, just because, not many people use those anymore. I do have a question about the landscaping. Seems like the neighbors to the south will be, shielded from the parking lot. Is there enough landscaping where the neighbors on the east to hide the parking lot from them?
So the east, yes, I mean, we're doing a continuous hedge along the parking spots, so that screens headlights, well, in the, times like now, where, it gets dark early and you may have headlights, so that kind of covers that, and then I think that was in your ordinance, that was probably intentional for that.
Yes.
Right.
So that's a complete screen. There are existing parkway trees along the east that are gonna stay. And then we have a few trees on the perimeter, there as well, so like, get the parkway and then, just onto our property, we have two, actually four shade trees that kind of march down there. And then I've turned that evergreen screen of the large evergreen trees kind of around the corner, so it just kind of runs into that south screen.
Okay, great. I know headlights can be a problem too, with the SUVs nowadays.
And the 58 spots below grade, that is huge to eliminate that, because you won't see any of those headlights at all, and I think the screening on the surface parking, as Catherine outlined.
Related to
is
that,
well
what,
screened.
on surgical center, how late do surgeries go?
Yeah.
Surgical centers I'm familiar with, in the afternoon, the lots tend to be empty because surgeries start early and end early in case there's complications or something.
Yeah,
How would-
typically about 5 o'clock.
Do you mind going to the microphone?
If you come to, so you can be on
Microphone.
TV, if you come to the mic.
Sorry about that. Typically about 5 o'clock, most surgeries are done. There might be a couple that run a little late, maybe a 6 or 7 o'clock departure from some late cases.
Okay.
But for the most part, it's a 7 a.m. start. And then, the bulk of the cases are done in the morning through the middle to sort of end of the afternoon.
Okay, thank you.
My next question had to do with lighting. How late will the parking lot lights stay on? I'm thinking of the residents who are next door at Pearl.
So they'll be controlled, generally they're controlled by a time clock with a photocell override. So they would kick on, obviously, when it gets dark. As far as the timing of when they would shut off, I guess that would be a balance of working with you and also the security measures of just having some amount of light in the parking lot overnight for just, security of the facility.
Security lighting.
Yeah.
I would like to know a little bit more about that. I know many of the residents at Pearl, they're in bed by 8 o'clock. I just want to make sure there's not any glare going into their windows.
And there'll be all cut-off fixtures, max 15-foot pole height, all of in compliance with the zoning requirements.
And I know this is not your problem, but I've noticed over the years where I've been at ManorCare Pearl, visiting, that they like to use your parking lot. I don't know if, what you can do, if maybe the landscaping between the two properties can be pretty dense, so people would have to, walk around and actually use the drive to get into Pearl. I remember there were times, like there was a security guard, yelling at people, but I don't know if that's still a problem. But
Marguerite, do you want to speak to that?
Hi, hello everyone. We did get a valet person a few years back for that purpose. That was kind of the main reason for it. The convenience, obviously, for patients who wanted to just drop off their car and walk right in. Orthopedic has that need. But he also was able to see if someone parked and then started walking towards the nursing home, that he'd guide them to say they'd have to move their car. We haven't had that issue in the last few years, honestly. That was something that happened more probably over 5 years ago, and it was to the point where we had to hire someone to help. We moved some of our administrative offices out of that building as well, so we had less staff parking there, so it allowed also a bit more spaces for our patients. And we just left the valet guy because it's helpful for patients to offer them that service. With the surgery center, we expect that someone will always have to drive the patient over, so we don't anticipate having to have a valet person there or a security person there. But yeah, that was an issue years back that we really haven't had a problem with lately. Yep.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Anything else, Julie?
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jerry?
I think it's a great improvement. I live down the block, and I watch people turn left on Monroe all the time. Are you gonna eliminate will there be ability to park on that northeast corner there? Every time I turn right going to my house, I'm like, why do they park there? I think it's 2 or 3 doctors park Jaguars and a
that's
cyber
currently-
truck.
Oh, no, no.
There's the landscaping's gonna be good enough that no one's gonna be ditching a car there in a rush.
There's no room to park there.
So that's completely gone, yeah.
Yeah.
And those doctors are gone too?
That's VIP parking.
Or are they in the room?
One of them's in the room, I see that face. No, and it's gonna be a great improvement for the neighborhood. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry. Jim?
A lot of my stuff has been addressed. I don't like EFS either, but my concern is more specific to consistency with the appearance of the neighborhood. So Kensington, were there any other alternatives considered for exterior material?
It would really be between an EFS or potentially a metal panel. That would be the other alternative to achieve that look.
Okay, well, without the windows and the metal panel, that would be very military. So let's just stick with the EFS.
Great.
Down the street.
Yeah, I appreciate your redeployed use case. I think the fact of using this as an ambulatory surgical center exclusively is great, and I'm glad you've got the ability to redeploy that. This is probably an obvious answer to a silly question, but you're demolishing one building and putting up another.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to be there for 20, 30 years? Is your plan at least?
Not for construction.
Well, that's another question.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, we want to be there. We've been part of this community for 60 years. We want to continue to be there, and we feel that the trend within orthopedics is that we're all going to be in mostly outpatient situations. Obviously, there's a need for the hospital in certain situations, but we want to continue to move with really the national trend within orthopedics, which is to do outpatient surgery. So we want to be there for 20, 30 years, absolutely.
Right, okay, and the payer incentives are consistent with that, of course.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. And the reason I'm asking that is, just like when we approved the Kensington School, our concern was, they were an established company in other organization in other communities, but if they abandoned that space, it would have been a unpleasant authorization later. So if you guys are going to be there 20, 30 years, great. Again, we'll all be moved on by the time. Yeah.
The trees will be grown.
The trees will be
Trees will be grown, yeah.
Ginkgos for everyone.
Ginkgos will still be 4 inches.
I got some ginkgos, they grow. And they're very resistant to salt.
I hear ginkgos.
Yeah.
They grow slow.
Okay. I had questions about the standby generator. Those have been addressed. Thank you for bringing those up. We have discussed the correspondence, the certified mail you sent out, and the response you got from the single neighbor. And I think Julie brought up some nursing home concerns, your nursing home neighbor. Can you describe the discussion you had with them beyond screening and headlights and stuff like that? Because I would guess that this is going to be a little disruptive to them during the demolition, during the construction. How did those conversations go?
So I can speak from a construction standpoint, and I can let Margarita chime in as well, but we want to be good neighbors. We want to be good stewards. We realize we're working in a residential environment, and obviously the sensitivity next door with the nursing home. So we're as mindful as we can be as far as start times. We'll abide by any local ordinances as far as when we start making noise in the morning, those types of things, and do the best we can to mitigate during construction.
Yeah. What is your start and finish date from Bulldozer?
So the goal is to start in March of 26, and we have about a 13-month schedule. So it would be March to April of 27. That's about where this shakes out.
Okay, outstanding. Let's see. I think that is all. Your sign permits are going to be separate. Yeah, I think that's the extent of my questions. I'm thrilled that you're doing this, and I appreciate your investment and commitment to Hinsdale, your beloved, which is weird to say about a medical facility. But
Thanks, Jim. Cynthia?
Thank you.
I had a question about if you're keeping the monument signs. It sounds like there will be one on Ogden.
Yep.
I'm assuming you're gonna eliminate the other, and I know that's not what we're discussing tonight, but
That'd be a separate permit
they
coming
will
back
be
for signs.
separate.
The plan would likely be a new monument site. I think there are some requirements of where that can be positioned based on current zoning requirements. If I recall, there's kind of an angle along
Yeah.
the side here that I think the current sign may fall within. So we'd either have to relocate or do a new sign. We haven't got fully into all those discussions, but it
Yeah,
would.
13 months.
Yeah, it would certainly be
Think about it.
repositioned at a minimum or a new sign.
I think you did a fabulous job putting this together, and I don't know if it was happenstance or if it was done intentionally, but the new building reminds me of an update to the old building in some ways. There's a familiarity about it, and I know you have generations of patients that are visiting the facility. So there's something about, a brand-new building with pillars or something on the corner
Yeah.
wouldn't give you that nice cozy feel. This feels like an update. And I think when the landscaping's done, the colored trees that you're gonna put in against the I think it's gonna be beautiful. Well done.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Cynthia. I think it's a really well-done package. I appreciate, and just for the commission, I've seen like multiple iterations of this. I do think it started about a year ago. I mean,
Almost to the
I
day.
saw some very early conceptual things that some I didn't like, and I shared my comments with the group. But I really thought it was amazing each time something else came through my email. It just kept getting better and better. I thought you used the site very well. I appreciate the effort to be as compliant as you can, which is great, because it's a challenging site. I always wonder if you're going to stay there, just because of the challenge. You could probably find a greenfield site that was a lot bigger and easier to build on.
It definitely had its challenges. Joe
and
did a phenomenal
I've
job.
definitely spent time there with, for me and my children. I thought I also visited Elmhurst Hospital with your practice. Did you guys have space over there once? It might have just been office space or follow-up, but.
We did, yep, we had a small satellite clinic over at Elmhurst Hospital. We don't currently have that, but
Okay.
we did in the past.
Okay, I do remember that. But I really appreciate the thoroughness. This is the kind of packages that we love to see, where you really, spend the time to go through everything, every iteration, from the traffic study to lighting to landscaping to the design, complying with parking, being a good neighbor. I thought it was a really a great move to reach out to the neighbors first before they get the public notice. And I'm excited. I think it's going to be a great improvement. Where I was talking with Jerry, it was interesting is Kensington was the first kind of construction that happened there, and it's a very white kind of colonial building. And then the 8 is basically brick and ephes, across from you, 8 built houses that look pretty much the same. So it's going to be an interesting kind of collection of 3 building sites that I think will all kind of work together. And I think it'll be a nice improvement for Hinsdale and for your practice. So you said earlier, it's going from 4 ORs to 6 now? So
6
that's,
ORs.
that's great. And I remember, I think when you came here before, because you've come here for signage or whatever, Monday mornings were the busy day with the weekend warriors would show up. I think they could play basketball like a 21-year-old and blow out a knee or something. So, and I do think just during construction with Kensington, obviously you'll need to be very careful with all the drop-offs with the parents in the morning with the young kids. And then I'm sure you'll work with the fire department and with Pearl to you'll have to maintain some kind of access there in an emergency so they could get vehicles in there. So.
Yeah, we've actually given that some thought already with site logistics. Obviously, it's going to be minimal laydown area, but in an emergency situation, we'll think that through of how we could get emergency access.
I just think a really well done job on a challenging project, and it's very thorough, so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. So, do I have a motion to approve, and was some comments about landscaping that we'd want to include, Bethany? Just suggestions?
Do you guys, are you okay making the changes that the residents to the south had, okay. So it would be great if we could add a condition that they incorporate those changes for the board based on the resident feedback
Okay.
with their meeting with them.
That sounds good.
And those are pretty minimal to my understanding if that change could be made.
And the one
Will you go to the microphone, Catherine?
yes.
Sorry.
Just
The-
because it's,
The one thing I'd suggest on the native
Mm-hmm.
planting, that'll be fully formed when the final engineering is
Yeah.
done. So I have the understanding of the
Yeah,
extent of the depression. you
yeah,
know.
understand, yeah.
And the sign.
this, yeah, they have the signage landscaping now, and they're showing it in the proper location.
Okay.
But we'll still bring that forward with a future
Yeah.
sign permit application.
Correct.
We've done
Yeah,
something
yeah.
similar, if you guys remember, with Normandy. I like to have them included in on their site plan, just so they can have it for future planning, especially because they have a landscape architect now. We know where the site triangle is, and then they'll come back with all the details later.
Exactly.
But we can have them include, you know, a note for native landscaping in the stormwater depression as well. And then, you know, we can work the details out as it goes through final engineering and permitting. So that's a condition you guys could add as well.
Okay. So do I have a motion to add, including input for the landscaping from the neighbors, addressing this landscaping and the stormwater once the final engineering's done? On the lighting, I know we have the requirements for security lighting, which would probably be important, because the Pearl's pretty well lit up throughout the day. Anything else, any other conditions or suggestions for the board?
I think that's it.
With that, can I have a roll?
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
The lighting for the Pearl, can you clarify, is that to have security lighting or?
Well, for this site, I mean, I know that the Pearl like keeps that lot illuminated 24 hours.
Right.
And I think, you know, if they brought this down to security level after their operations are done, that would maintain safety for both the Pearl and
Yep.
this property, and would be low enough that it wouldn't be obstructing
We can work with
the
them on
aids
that.
across the street or the neighbor.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, they do have, I think, the shields,
Correct.
the house side shields all, on all
Well,
ways.
these would be
for
better
those.
fixtures than what's there. currently.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And that's included with our submission, so
Yeah.
when you're,
Yeah.
if there's any comments.
But we can absolutely have security level lighting if you guys are okay with that after hours. That's
Mm-hmm.
pretty typical.
And this was probably our first application after we made those landscape
It is.
Yeah.
parking changes.
Yeah.
So well done,
Big difference.
complying with those.
Oh, and include the exclusion of the 6 feet? That's part of,
Well, that's what's in, that's
in
what
the
they're
package.
proposing, so we're accepting it.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That sounds good.
Are you able to make them listen to the tape and summarize?
I
that?
will summarize very briefly now, and then we'll formally write them up. That the conditions will be to make the small area changes to the landscape plan, to the adjacent neighbors to the south near that south driveway. We can work with them on adding some native landscaping to that stormwater area along Ogden, and work with them during final engineering, and then look at security level lighting after hours in the parking lot.
Great. With that, do I have a motion to approve it with those conditions?
So moved, Willoughby?
Do we have a second?
Jablonski, second.
Roll call vote, please, Bethany?
Commissioner Curry?
Aye.
Commissioner Krillenberger?
aye.
Commissioner Jablonski?
Aye.
Commissioner Cernovich?
Aye.
Commissioner Willoughby?
Aye.
Commissioner Fiasconi?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Chairman Cashman?
Aye. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Great job, you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great
That
job.
was really good.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Brillenberger, so motions.
All in favor?
Aye.